How do the best learners in the world learn 5 to 6 different skills in just few weeks? These people, they are all around you, in your school, university, office. And they know this one thing, which if you knew, you would learn music, finance, literature, anything you want in a matter of weeks. $3 million to $60 million in annual revenue in just 5 years. Very wrong with the way you're learning things right now. Quite boring, and you most probably quit before it gets fun. Come to think of that, isn't that the difference between a degree and a certificate course? Hi, this is Dhruv, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to learn multiple things in parallel, not only faster, but more efficiently. The method I'm referring to is called the skill tree, and I know you've watched multiple videos on this topic, but there's one thing that these videos don't address about skills in general. It's that skills are not monolithic. There is no ladder to climb. Rather, every skill is a tree in itself with multiple branches that overlap with other skills. Skill trees use this very fact to their advantage.
Yo, what's up?
The question you should be asking is what's down, because there's something very wrong with the way you're learning things right now. Let's address them first. Everyone knows that stacking skills is beneficial in career development, monetary aspects, and finding more opportunities. But skills don't stack the way you think. And there is a fine line between having a concrete skill set and having a collection of skills that aren't relevant to each other. So it's important to know what we learn and how well these things are connected with each other, as these connections create the compounding effect of knowledge that we seek. Because if you stack the wrong skills, it will do more harm than good. Start from the basics is probably the most widespread advice about learning that we have heard. And guess what? You don't have to. There's something called neuroplasticity of the brain, your brain's ability to rewire itself and form new neural pathways in response to new information and experiences. When you start something from scratch, you force your brain to create fresh neural pathways, which increases cognitive load and slows the entire learning process. Next is learning too much. Now this sounds ironic, but it's something I've talked about in my previous video. You don't want to learn too much of one thing that it makes you blind to everything else. On the other hand, learning a little about too many things wouldn't do any good either. Meaning, you shouldn't be a pure specialist, as it may make you the expert and make you feel valuable, but you get incredibly vulnerable to changes in technology and the market. Nor should you be a generalist, because have you heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none? Yeah, journalists put the master of none in this saying. So being on either ends of the spectrum does not help. Check out this video if you want to find just the sweet spot. In the next section, I'll tell you what a skill tree is, how it functions, and later in this video, we'll discuss how you can practically implement it for yourself. What is a skill tree? As mentioned earlier, think of skills as a tree. Broad concepts like business and finance form a forest, and in this forest are multiple trees. Individual skills we want to learn like marketing, sales, management. Let's take the marketing tree. Coming off that trunk, you've got branches. These are the sub-skills. Paid ads, SEO, email marketing, specific enough that you could actually sit down and learn it. And then on each branch, we've got leaves. These are the topics, the stuff you'd find in a single YouTube video or a single chapter of a book. So, on the paid ads branch, the leaves might be something like how to write an ad copy, how to set up a Facebook campaign, setting up a Google Ads account, specific actionable things. You can do the same with every concept, skill, or a topic. Great. Now, how do you learn a skill with this? You pick a practical branch of the skill you want to learn, something that you find interesting. Say you want to learn marketing. Instead of starting with what is marketing and sitting through 3 weeks of theory, you just start making a Facebook ad campaign, a real one, maybe for a friend's dropshipping store, anything. Now you're figuring out who you're targeting, what you're saying to them, how much to spend, and why someone would stop scrolling and click. And while you're doing all of that, you just touch consumer psychology, copywriting, data analysis, budgeting, and brand messaging. You didn't study any of them directly, but now you have a working understanding of all of them because you needed them to get the campaign done. The basics naturally sorted themselves out as a byproduct of doing something practical. Take, for example, an electrician. Does your electrician know semiconductor physics or how a MOSFET switches at the quantum level? No, but I know you trust him with fixing your air conditioner. The point is, you learn practical skills from day one. And come to think of that, isn't that the difference between a degree and a certificate course? A degree spends 3 to 4 years teaching you fundamentals, history, theory, and prerequisites. By the time you get to the useful stuff, you've forgotten why you started. A good course just drops you into the branch that matters. Here's how to run ads, how to build a product, and everything you need to know to do that thing well, you pick it up on the way. Skill trees also help learning a different skill easier by leveraging what you already know. Have you seen a monkey? When it wants to climb another tree, it doesn't follow this path. Rather, it jumps from one branch to another. And you might say it's obvious, it's easier, and that's exactly the point. Skill trees use this very approach. Interestingly, almost every tree in the same forest has overlapping branches with other skills. Take storytelling. It grows on the marketing tree, but it also grows on the sales tree, even on content creation and public speaking. Meaning, if you learn storytelling through marketing, you haven't just learned one thing for one skill. You've acquired knowledge that helps you across multiple trees. For example, communication helps leadership, sales, teaching, and collaboration. Composition helps videography, cinematography, design, and editing. Skill trees show that learning is connected, and the faster you spot those overlaps, the faster you can grow in multiple directions without starting from zero every time. Traditionally, we are told to start from the basics, start from the roots. This takes a lot of time and it's hard to build momentum. But what if, with this same approach, you can learn marketing in 5 years and make $60 million dollars without having to go to a business school? Meet Gary Vaynerchuk. His family's wine business was $3 million. dollars. 5 years later, 20 times the initial, all from YouTube. Let me give you the actual history. In 1998, Gary graduates from Mount Ida College, Newton. His dad owns a liquor store called Shoppers Discount Liquors in New Jersey. Revenue $3 million dollars a year. Next year, Gary launches WineLibrary.com, one of the first e commerce wine businesses in America. Over the next few years, he grows the business from 3 million to 4 million. But he's stuck. Why? Wine laws in the US are brutal. People from Boston, people from New York can't buy from him. The business is limited. One day, he goes to a wine tasting. He realizes that people have no wine self esteem. They are upright, pretentious, and the wine culture is boring. And he sees this opportunity to make wine accessible, make it fun, make it cool. So the following year, he launches Wine Library TV on YouTube. He starts a daily video show. He tastes wine, he assesses bottles, he's doing wine content. And interestingly, over the next 5 years, he did 1,000 plus episodes, one video daily. And by 2011, Wine Library went from $3 million dollars to $60 million dollars in annual revenue in just 5 years. Had he tried to learn business and marketing fundamentals from scratch, this wouldn't have been possible. Gary's story illustrates skill trees perfectly. He knew wine, sales, and entertainment, and instead of starting from marketing fundamentals, he found the common ground where all three of his skills overlapped: content, education, entertainment. The result? $60 million dollars in 5 years. This is also the reason why most successful businessmen and entrepreneurs have a history of sales and marketing. Okay, great. But how does this allow us to learn multiple things in parallel? Back in school, you used to learn multiple subjects in a single day. This tells us that your brain is capable enough to digest multiple threads of information in any single day. But there was nothing to bridge the gap between different subjects, making learning feel scattered. Research from Caltech shows it's easier for the brain to adapt and rewire itself when learning new things related to familiar skills. Your brain learns way faster when it can just anchor new information to an old skill, rather than building from the ground up. Remember neuroplasticity? Every time you learn something new, your brain has to create entirely new neural pathways. Skill trees allow us to skip that. Instead, you start from a shared node, a shared branch. Take learning guitar for example. Traditionally, you learn the chords, practice your scales, but it's also quite boring and you most probably quit before it gets fun. With skill tree, you identify branches that you find interesting. You learn how to play a riff from your favorite song, and by doing that, you inadvertently learn finger placement, rhythm, and it's easier and more engaging. By combining a practical project with a shared branch, you learn several related skills at the same time instead of treating each one as a separate task. Now, as promised, how to implement this for yourself. Note down the skills you already have. It can even be things you find interesting. It can be something like watching movies or even sick edits on Instagram. Our goal is to identify patterns your brain already associates with. Then, know the things you want to learn, for example, video editing, cinematography, and sound design. You find that all these skills fall under a broader term, filmmaking, and as a result, many concepts overlap. By the way, if you want to skip the entire thinking part, I've attached a prompt in the description that will help you map out your entire forest for you. back to the video. The next step is to find a practical project that combines your existing interests and addresses the overlap among the skills you want to learn. In this case, the project can be making a YouTube video or a short film. And I promise you, one practical project with this method will teach you more about the thing that you want to learn than 100 tutorials. And that was all about the skill tree. Thank you for watching.